Have you ever been to a restaurant, had a really nice meal, then got on the bill and thought, man, I probably could have made this at home? Well, today I'm going to show you 3 of Sydney's highest rated restaurants, and out of those 3, I'm going to show you their 3 most famous meals: breakfast, lunch and dinner. Then I'm going to give you an honest review before I go home to the back of test kitchen and try to reverse engineer these to create the ultimate dining experience at home. First on the list, we have Valentina's. I've strategically come here on a weekday, but if you want to eat at Valentina's on a Saturday, you're gonna wait 45 minutes. The line is literally out the door and up the road. They do a great coffee, but they're famous for their food. Specifically, these scrambled eggs. Let's give them a try. I mean, they're silky and soft, and they look well seasoned. It's a good scrambled egg. I think the main thing that makes these popular is that swirly texture, which should be easy enough to recreate at home. Now, it is simple, but it is good food. It's hard though to figure out what makes Valentina's so popular. Is it the location? Is it the charm? Or is it just because they have really good eggs? Anyway, stick around to the end of the video because for every meal that I show you, I'm gonna steal the recipe and try to recreate it at home. But before we do that, I want to show you one of the most famous lunches in Australia, and it's right here in Sydney. Let's head to the city. There's a lot of stuff that people don't talk about when you're filming these videos. Like, for example, I'm walking around everywhere I go with a big camera, holding it up, talking to it. It can be quite awkward at times. If you had asked me before I started filming content, would I ever see myself doing this? I would 100% say no, but you've just got to get outside of your comfort zone. There are going to be certain places where you don't feel welcome to be filming. Like at Valentina's, they're used to it. They're like a real influencer kind of cafe, but you can tell they hate it. They just have to accept it. Those situations are unfortunate, but this is what I've chosen to do, and you're not going to get anywhere by being nervous or embarrassed to hold a camera. The thing is though, it's only embarrassing until you're successful. Like when I first started making the TikTok and the Instagram reels, I got no views. It was hard to put myself out there for that fear of embarrassment. But once you get over that, so many opportunities open up because there's always going to be that person who will give things a go. They don't care about being embarrassed. They don't care about how it makes them look. And they're always going to be more successful than the person who has an idea, has a plan, but won't do it because they're scared of failing. It really isn't that deep though. To be fair, I am just making food videos. If you want to lift all to yourself, just film. No one will get in there with you. That seemingly unsuspecting basement door down there takes you to a place called the Gidley, and it is an institution. This is an opulent steakhouse in Sydney CBD. Think whiskey, cigars, poker and Wagyu beef. The second you step into the Gidley, you quickly realise that they're all about gluttony. You can enjoy all of life's guilty pleasures at this joint. So at a place where beluga caviar is considered a quick bar snack, it may come as a surprise that their most famous menu item is the burger. That's right, the Gidley burger. Now they have a super strict no filming policy at the Gidley, but I'm gonna do my absolute very best to finesse my way in with this camera and get some footage of that burger. Hey buddy. Oh, I'm showing 3 of Sydney's most popular breakfast, lunch and dinner. Okay. So I thought the burger's a good example.
Cool. Yeah, if you think we wanna come maybe in 15 minutes out.
Perfect. Thanks. So the bar manager has allowed us to film inside the bar. That means I can show you guys that famous burger. It smells like Ralph Lauren perfume in here. So this is the joint here. It's a weekday at lunchtime and it's actually pretty packed. I'll just grab the burger and grab the egg and the bacon in it as well.
Sorry, bacon, egg.
Yeah, no chips though. I am keen for this one. Lovely.
We have plenty of competitors across Sydney, and for the past 4 years, we have been the absolute best burger in town. Why we say that? We start off with a buttermilk bun, dry aged for a week, followed by some Dijonnaise sauce, some Frankie's pickles, sourced from Lower East Manhattan. Everything encapsulated together, creating the best thing fucking known to man. In saying that, a lot of people like cross sections. There is porn for you. In saying that, folks, that's the Gidley burger. I hope you enjoy it.
So this is the Gidley burger. Now let's find out why this thing is so famous. And bro knew we wanted a cross section, but look at that. But look at that. Medium patty. You don't want it medium rare because then it's way too soft. I think medium is perfect for a burger patty. And this thing is just so rich and decadent. If you're not from Australia, you might find it weird to put an egg on a burger, but it belongs in this one. And look at that thick cut bacon. This thing is lunch and breakfast in one. I shouldn't have eaten those eggs before. And you know, with all those gourmet ingredients, they still chose to put American cheese. You might call it plastic, but it is the right cheese for a burger. This is what I mean when I say that the Gidley is all about gluttony. The final bite. Next level. I need this pickle and then I need a nap. If you guys have been following along, you know that when I review these places, I'm honest. That is one of the best.
Double check, let me know.
No, all good, bro. The bill maneuver, smooth as usual. Thank you. Man, that thing is decadent. It's just so juicy and rich. You've got that thick cut slab of bacon and the runny fried egg. Yes, it's a mess to eat, and yes, it will sit in your stomach till the next day, but pair that with a double smoke old fashioned, you might have the best burger in Sydney. Anyway, let me try to digest for a little bit and then we'll head to dinner. No way. Is that Mr. Isaac? Isaac. Would you like to try some chocolate?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. Get it out of my chocolate pocket. David Jones.
Ooh.
Love cocoa. Malden sea salt.
Shout out Malden Sea Salt.
I love it. You used to be a chocolatier.
Yeah.
So this is an expert on chocolate.
Basically the most qualified person to give an opinion.
I don't like when bars are like all confusing like that, where you don't know how to break it.
No, it's only good if you're like, Mum says you're allowed one square and she doesn't realise it's like a drama.
Cheers. Wait, let's show it. Look at that. Ooh, 70%. Oh, that is nice.
It's really Moorish. Like I feel like you would start eating it and then the saltiness would mean you just fucking smash it. Yeah. But do you like, when you have any chocolate, are you a chewer or like a let it melt first?
I wish I could let it melt, but I'm not patient enough.
You're not patient enough, are you? Press it against the roof of your mouth.
Oh, fuck that.
Let it melt on your palate and then like swish it around a little bit. Meanwhile, you and I are like...
I would love to do that because it would be more enjoyable, but anything that's... No, I'm not going to finish that sentence. Yes, you get the point.
That's actually good.
It is good. I'm off to Ragazzi.
Enjoy lunch, bro.
Thank you, my friend. I always run into Isaac at the most random times in the most random places. Anyway, it's time for dinner. And tucked behind there is our restaurant. This building right here is called Ragazzi, and with over 1,400 Google reviews, you'll be hard-pressed to find a Sydney's best restaurants list that doesn't have this on there. I have never been to Ragazzi, so you'll be experiencing this for the first time with me. They've actually set me up a seat already. Bro, I'll just grab the Cacio Pepe, please. Thank you, bro. No worries. Handmade pasta and imported wine. Simple enough, but out of those pastas, there is one that tops the list for Sydney's must-tries every single time. It's their Cacio Pepe, and we've got one on the way. Now, you may laugh at my seating, but that's actually the YouTuber special. I've asked them to sit me away from everyone so I can actually talk to the camera and review the food.
Spaghetti Cacio Pepe for you too.
Oh, lovely.
You're very welcome. Enjoy your meal, mate.
Thank you, my friend.
Pleasure.
Now this looks and smells beautiful and I'm so keen to give it a try. You got to eat Cacio Pepe hot because it will seize up as it gets cold. Now just look how creamy that is. Oh wow, that is insane. Unbelievable. Do you see all that beautiful sauce? All that is Pecorino Romano cheese and pepper. But the way it becomes a sauce is when you emulsify it with pasta water. And this is one of the creamiest, most delicious cacio peppers I've ever had. And that's it. Ragazzi. And what I'm learning today is that these new viral restaurants that keep popping up on Instagram and TikTok and going crazy in Sydney, they're hit or miss. But when you go to these institutions, these ones that have been here for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, and are known to be the best, it's pretty hard to argue with that. There's usually a reason why these buildings have been there for so long. Having said that, we've had our protein, we've had our fat, and we've had our carbs. Now I'm going to show you guys how to recreate every one of Sydney's most famous recipes that we've had today at home, the same or better. I was just about to pay, but I've been told to stay and wait because there's one more little surprise that they do here at Ragazzi.
You can mop up all the sauce.
Oh, lovely. Just like in Italy. There is one thing they do in Italy. You take a bit of bread and you use it to just mop up all that sauce. Carbs on carbs. Unreal. Now that is a proper deserving clean plate. Now we can go recreate these at home. Call me lazy all you want, but I am not walking back to the car. Hey brother, how are you? Thanks to the magic of cinema, we're back at breakfast ready to recreate these viral eggs. But before I do that, this is where I ask you guys to subscribe. This is my first YouTube video, but there is literally so much I want to share with you guys. And that little action of scrolling down to press the subscribe button may not seem like much, but it allows me to invest more time, energy, and money into making these videos so I can share with you guys what I'm passionate about. Anyway, the eggs are easy. Just crack 3 into a bowl. And when you're cracking eggs, if you do it on the edge of the bowl, you're actually pushing shell into your egg. Try to do it on a flat surface. And I've never tried this, but apparently if you just drop an egg, it should crack perfectly. There you go, myth busted. Just crack your eggs normally. Now whisk your eggs properly. We really want to beat some air into them. Those bubbles mean that we've beaten some air into the egg, so now it's ready to cook. Now Valentina's calls this a scrambled egg, but what it really is a folded egg, and it looks difficult, but it's actually super easy to do. Let me show you how. Now a lot of people like to cook their eggs in butter, but I use a high smoke point olive oil. I think it gives them a cleaner flavour. We'll oil our pan only when it's hot enough. Now we'll add our eggs, and all you have to do to get that beautiful shape is fold them. And that's it. Now we'll get these onto a plate. And if you look at Valentina's folded eggs, they season with salt, pepper. Then for a herb, they use parsley, but they don't use Italian parsley, they use Australian. That's the curly one, chopped finely. Now if we look at that, I'd say it looks exactly like the eggs we had yesterday, but I want to elevate them just a little bit more. And what I think would make these eggs even better is a drizzle of chili oil and some freshly grated Pecorino Romano cheese. Now we've taken something that was already good and made it great. Let's give this a taste. That is not the same as Valentina's. It is better by every metric. It's more well seasoned, it looks better, and it has a better texture. Now let's make that burger. The bloke who served me did that little presentation and he gave me everything I need to recreate this burger at home. But if you ask me, there are 2 things that make the Gidley burger special. 1 is that thick cut bacon, and 2 is the beef. That's why wherever you are in the world, I urge you to find a good, proper old school butcher that works from a whole carcass and cuts your meat to order. Local to me is a place called Elvies, and they've been running since the 1800s. The ground beef, it's a mix of sirloin and brisket, dry aged and wet aged. Now at a good butcher, meat will be dry aged for 20 to 30 days before you even see it on display. And when a restaurant or butcher refers to wet aging, that's just having meat in its vacuum sealed packaging in the fridge. Some butchers will vacuum seal in-house and offer it as an option. Generally, the golden ratio for lean meat to fat in a burger is 80-20, but because the Gidley burger is so juicy and rich, I'm confident that they push the fat content up to 25%. My butcher refuses to grind up a perfectly good sirloin, and to be honest, I don't blame him at all. So we grabbed the brisket, and only because I want a high fat content, he cut and ground the fattier parts. And looking at that, I reckon that'll make a super juicy, rich burger. The bacon as well, a good butcher will make in-house. The Gidley bacon is about 6mm thick, so I had my butcher cut that too. Dijonnaise sauce, believe it or not, is just Dijon mustard and mayonnaise. I'm gonna put you guys on. Tommy, this is Swiss mayonnaise and it's just so much more rich and creamy and has so much more flavour than your standard mayo. If you can find this at your deli, definitely buy it. Mix it with some Dijon mustard and that's your Dijonnaise sauce. Like the waiter at the Gidley said, they use 2 110-gram patties smashed. 110 on the first go. Come on. Now those are small patties, but because there's 2, I do think that is ideal. Weigh them out, roll them into balls and put them aside. Now we'll toast some buttermilk buns in butter. You can find these at most good bakeries. Then we'll cook that beautiful thick cut bacon and put it aside as well. We're actually going to cook our beef in the bacon fat. Genius, I know. The king of hamburgers, George Motz, has a method, and that's to sear one side of the ball, then flip it so you have a nice surface to smash down which won't stick to your smasher. Season your patty with salt and pepper just before smashing so the salt doesn't draw too much moisture out, then go for it. Layer with American cheese, then another patty and let it all melt together. Now we'll fry an egg, season with salt, pepper and chives, then start constructing our burger. We'll start on the hill with that delicious sauce, then that delicious bacon and finally your patties. Then we'll hit the crowd with some more of that Dijonnaise and the egg. If we're going to copy the burger, we might as well copy the whole experience. And that is perfection. Now let's actually try these. One second. I'm going to take another bite before I say anything. You know what, let me just finish this. Oh my God. You know, next time I think I'll find a judge that's not me because I may be biased, but I think this is better. I think the patty has a bit of a better crust on it and there's less of that Dijonnaise so the flavour of the beef can really speak for itself. You still get a super rich burger dripping with that egg yolk, but I think it's just rounded off a bit better. Now I'm going to polish off this burger and then for dinner we'll get to the Cacio or Pepe. Delicious. I think for dinner I'll whack on the GoPro and do it all first person, then I'll talk you guys through the recipe. Cacio or Pepe is super simple, but it's all about technique. Now when I say it's all about technique, I'll show you what I mean, but first let's talk ingredients. And traditionally to make the sauce, there's only 2, Cacio or cheese and Pepe or pepper. Now the type of cheese specifically is called Pecorino Romano. It's a hard cheese very similar to Parmigiano, except it's aged for less time and made from sheep's milk instead of cow's milk. It can only be called Pecorino Romano if it comes from certain parts of Sardinia, Lazio or Tuscany. This one in particular is from Sardinia, and if I were to describe the taste, I would say just imagine a saltier, sharper version of Parmigiano. Because of the way we make the sauce, it's super important that you buy a wedge and grate it yourself instead of buying the pre-grated stuff. 99% of the time, pre-grated cheese is coated with cornstarch to stop it from clumping together, and this will ruin your sauce. You really respect a meal a lot more when you do things like this, and grating this stuff smells amazing if you're into that. Freeze whatever you're not using today, it will last up to a year. We'll fill up a bowl with it, then roast some whole peppercorns, put them in a grinder and grind those in with your cheese. It's super important that you use freshly ground pepper because it's a lot more aromatic. No need for salt, like we said before. Pecorino is already super salty. Now this is going to become a sauce when we mix it in with our pasta, but there's one special thing we need to make that happen. pasta water. Ragazzi definitely makes their pasta in-house, and judging by the taste and texture, I'm sure they get their flour from Italy. We can definitely make spaghetti at home. The basic idea isn't super difficult, but I'd be using Aussie flour, and the truth is, there is no better wheat in the world than Italian wheat. They have super strict legal standards when it comes to their wheat, and it's guaranteed that you'll never have traces of heavy metals, microplastics, or GMOs in Italian flour. So with that being said, if you can get your hands on some pasta that's made in Italy from Italian flour, that's going to be much better than anything we can do at home. Just make sure that you're buying pasta that's ivory and not yellow. That ivory color tells you that it was dried slowly at low heat instead of forced to dry industrially. The lighter the pasta is, the higher the quality. Now let's cook it, and if you've ever cooked pasta properly, you'd know this, but save that pasta water. Add some of it to our bowl with the cheese and pepper, then put that aside. The one thing Ragazzi does different to what I've seen is a little bit of chili powder. These are dried Calabrian chilies, and I assume that that's what Ragazzi uses. We'll grind them up, and then we have some chili powder to finish our pasta with. And here's where the technique comes in. Grind some of your roasted peppers into a pan, then add some water and cook it on medium heat to infuse the water with that pepper flavor. Now cut the heat and let the pan get cold again. If we add our sauce to a hot pan, it will clump up. Take some more of your hot pasta water, add it to the bowl with the cheese and mix it together. Then turn your heat back on. Let's say medium-low. Add the pasta and the pecorino sauce, then slowly bring it to temperature while tossing everything together. Make sure you keep everything moving because if you stop, it will seize up. If it's too thin, add more pecorino. If it's too thick, add more pasta water. Once that's done, we'll plate it up, sprinkle with some more pecorino, and then our chili powder. Man, I have never been more happy to eat the exact same thing 2 days in a row. Let's give this a taste. Now, I'd say we got the presentation pretty close. I will be transparent here and say that when I am filming, 99% of the time, by the time I eat, the food is cold, and that's just being real. So before I taste it, I will admit, it is not as creamy as Ragazzi, but let's give it a try. It definitely sounds like good pasta, but let's taste it. I would say it tastes exactly like Ragazzi's Cacio or Pepe, but it should because I use the exact same ingredients. Now let's be real, it is not as creamy. The Cacio or Pepe I had at Ragazzi was one of the most creamy, decadent Cacio or Pepes I have ever had. And this is not as good as that was. It is still phenomenal, and Ragazzi's had the benefit of being hot, which is actually super important for Cacio or Pepe. But this isn't on the same level. So I guess in summary, I went 2 for 3 today. I was able to recreate and actually improve on some of these iconic meals, but when it comes to these simple recipes, skill really shines through, and Sydney's best beat me. At least I know now, I'll definitely be going back to Ragazzi. Thanks for watching.